In the beginning, we see a young woman running desperately through the frozen wilderness at night. Her breath rattles in the icy air as she stumbles forward, refusing to stop even as the cold tears at her body. The following morning, Wildlife Service Agent Corey responds to a routine call. He spots a wolf circling a flock of sheep and brings it down with a single shot, scattering the rest. Later, he visits his ex-wife, Wilma, and over coffee, they talk about their son Casey. Corey explains that he will leave Casey with Wilma's parents while he investigates the death of a yearling near their land. At the barn, Corey helps Casey with the horses. The boy struggles until Corey shows him how to guide the reins and calm the animal. Soon after, they arrive at the grandparents' home. When Casey goes inside, his grandpa quietly tells Corey that something has attacked his livestock and asks him to take a look. Corey examines the snow and notices several paw prints. He realizes that a mother mountain lion is training her cubs to hunt. He follows the trail into the valley, finds a streak of blood, and prepares himself by pulling on coveralls and drawing his pistol. The path leads him to signs of a struggle. The snow still holds the footprints and the blood of the young woman from the night before. Corey follows the trail until he discovers her body. She lies barefoot and frostbitten, her mouth frozen open as if caught mid-breath. Corey radios for emergency help, but the blizzard will delay the FBI. Tribal Police Chief Ben insists that the body must remain untouched until federal agents arrive. Corey grows restless because the storm is erasing the tracks. He urges Ben to let him begin the pursuit, but Ben refuses. Corey already knows the victim is Natalie, even though Ben has not confirmed it. A vehicle soon arrives, and Corey steps forward to give directions. Behind the wheel is a young woman traveling alone. She introduces herself as Jane from the FBI, and Corey tells her to follow him. She has come unprepared for the harsh winter, having been pulled from a training course in Las Vegas because she was the closest available agent. Her arrival feels unimpressive, especially since she shows up in a rental car, and the locals are not pleased that the FBI sent someone like her. Inside the house, Casey's grandmother provides Jane with warmer clothing, from gloves to boots. She is reluctant to lend them out and makes it clear she expects them to be returned. Once the storm begins to ease, it is time to move. Corey and Jane ride together on one sled while Police Chief Ben takes another, with Corey leading the way. When they reach the taped-off scene, the tribal police are already present. There is still disagreement between Ben and Corey about the victim's identity, but Corey insists that it is Natalie. Jane examines the body closely and decides there is enough evidence to request a forensic kit. She learns that the young woman lived nearby, yet no one, not even her parents, had reported her missing. The nearest home is miles away, and although Ben suggests she might have been at a snow party, the fact that she was barefoot makes no sense. Jane asks Corey for his assessment, and he explains what he has read from the tracks. He shows her that the girl had been running through the snow, pressing her toes deep into the surface. She collapsed where the tracks end, curled up, and died from pulmonary hemorrhage after inhaling the freezing air. Jane wants Corey to assist with the case. Although he is primarily a hunter, he agrees to help, saying that this is no longer about animals but about human predators. Later that night, Corey works on his ammunition when his son approaches him. The boy has already heard about Natalie and quietly asks if this tragedy means history is repeating itself. Corey cannot deny that it feels like another painful story is beginning. The following day, Jane discovers that Natalie had not been living with her parents. Since turning 18, she had been staying with her boyfriend. The medical examiner reports that she suffered repeated assaults, though he cannot confirm whether there was one attacker or several. She also had cuts and bruises, but the ultimate cause of death was pulmonary hemorrhage, exactly as Corey had explained. Because of this, the examiner refuses to classify the case as homicide. He insists that he must follow the evidence rather than the circumstances. Without that ruling, federal authorities cannot step in. Everyone present knows it was murder, but it will not be recorded that way. Jane becomes frustrated. She tells Ben that if she delivers this report to her supervisor, she will be removed from the case and sent back to Las Vegas, leaving them without federal support. The questioning begins with Natalie's father, Martin. He reacts sharply to Jane's tone and answers her questions with hostility. He admits that he never met his daughter's boyfriend. Natalie had not shared details with him, and he chose not to press her. Her mother remains in the bedroom, grieving. Although Ben signals for Jane to leave her alone, she enters anyway. Inside, she finds a woman broken by sorrow, crying and cutting herself as part of a traditional act of mourning. A knock comes at the door. When Martin opens it, Corey is standing outside. The sight of him overwhelms Martin, and he falls into Corey's shoulders, unable to hold back his grief. Corey tells him that after losing his own daughter, Emily, he had to cling to the love she gave him rather than the pain of her absence. He urges Martin to do the same. Martin still has a son, Chip, though the boy is addicted to drugs and spends his time with other users. For Jane's investigation, Corey admits that he is seeking personal justice, and that is enough for Martin to hear. Later, Ben, Jane, and Corey drive to the place where Chip is staying. Music blasts from inside as they arrive. Ben explains that there are 4 brothers in total, and none of them are easy to deal with. Corey circles to the back while Ben and Jane approach the front. Sam answers the door. He is high and rambling, saying that one brother is in prison and that Chip is not there. Suddenly, he sprays them with a chemical. While Jane and Ben struggle with the sting, Corey seizes the chance. He strikes one of the boys with a shovel as another stumbles into the chaos. Jane pushes inside with her gun raised. Her vision is blurred and her senses are reeling, but she presses forward. As she turns a corner, Sam fires at her. She responds with several shots, hitting him until he collapses. Outside, Chip and one of his friends are taken into custody. Jane tries to question him, but the moment he hears that his sister is gone, he breaks down. Through his grief, it becomes clear that he knows who her boyfriend was. Jane wants him to lead her there, but Corey disagrees. He notices fresh sled tracks in the snow and follows them with his binoculars toward the hills where Natalie had been found. The trail climbs upward and never returns, which tells him the truth is close at hand. Jane admits she has no real experience with tracking, but Corey reminds her that this is why he is here. He urges her to move quickly while the snow still holds the evidence. They climb the hill on foot, and before long, the tracks end at another body, half hidden beneath the snow and left exposed to the cold. By nightfall, the site is crowded with officers. Ben says he will pull camera footage from the drilling station where Natalie's boyfriend worked. The boys remain in custody but refuse to speak. Corey offers to talk to them, knowing it would not count in court unless they confess to an officer, but he believes he might still learn something. While Jane steps aside to take a call, Corey presses Chip again. He has known him since he was a child and believes he can reach him. Ben looks the other way, leaving Corey free to continue. At first, Chip lashes out and blames the town for the way his life turned out. Then he breaks and admits what he knows. Natalie's boyfriend was Matt, an older man who worked security at the rig. If anyone else had answers, it was Sam. Corey later rejoins Ben and Jane, but he keeps Chip's confession to himself since it would break protocol. Ben suggests they meet at the rig in the morning, but Corey avoids giving a direct answer and leaves. Nearby, Wilma has heard about his involvement. She tells him that what he is doing will not heal the wound he carries. When Corey speaks their daughter's name and insists that his actions are for something beyond his own grief, she turns away and shuts him out. Jane returns with confirmation of the body they found. It is Matt, a security guard from one of the drilling stations. After delivering the news, she accepts Corey's invitation to step inside his home and warm up. While he gets her water, she notices the family photographs on the wall. When he returns, he points to Emily, his daughter who died 3 years earlier. Corey begins to share what happened. At the time, he had been working and called Wilma for a short trip, leaving 16-year-old Emily and her younger brother Casey at home. That same night, there was a party, and by morning, he received a call from Natalie saying her best friend was missing. A shepherd later discovered Emily's body 20 miles from the house, but coyotes had damaged her remains so badly that the autopsy revealed almost nothing. Corey struggles as he recalls the memory, his voice breaking under the weight of it. She asks if Chip gave him anything she should know, but Corey tells her nothing beyond what she already has. They part with a quiet goodnight, knowing the investigation will continue in the morning. Ben gathers a few officers to join him and Jane at the drilling station where Matt once worked, while Corey continues to follow the sled tracks on his own. Jane briefs the team, explaining that their task is to search Matt's trailer for anything that might connect him to Natalie. If Corey finds anything along his path, he only needs to call for backup. Out in the snow, Corey follows the trail and comes across animal prints that lead him to a carcass. Meanwhile, at the drilling site, the guards claim they were just about to report Matt missing. They say he has been gone for several days after a fight with his girlfriend. Jane notices that both men look battered, but they dismiss it as part of the job, blaming the lack of helmets and face shields. Eventually, the supervisor, Curtis, allows the officers to search Matt's trailer. Beyond the carcass, Corey sees that the tracks continue. Through his binoculars, he notices they cut directly past the trailer site where the officers are now searching. Back at the camp, one of the guards casually mentions hearing about Natalie's body being found. Jane immediately points out that her name has not been released to the public. The guards claim they learned it from a police scanner. Jane grew suspicious. Tension rises when one of Jane's team notices the guards slowly surrounding them and draws his weapon. The situation escalates into a standoff until Jane steps forward and identifies herself as FBI. Since Ben's authority does not extend here, Jane takes control, declaring federal jurisdiction. She orders the guards to lower their weapons, and the confrontation eases. At the same time, Corey rides toward the site with urgency. When he tries to reach Ben on the radio, there is no response. He grabs his rifle and pushes forward on foot. At the trailer, Jane learns that one more guard, Pete, is not with the others. His colleague claims he is asleep inside after covering the night shift. A flashback reveals what really happened. Natalie had arrived unannounced at Matt's trailer. He was overjoyed to see her, pulled her inside and kissed her. After they made love, they lay in bed talking about where they might move together. Their quiet moment ended when the other guards returned unexpectedly. Natalie quickly covered herself, but a drunken Pete saw her in her undies and began making crude remarks.
Smells like sex in here. What you two been doing, huh?
Hi, Pete.
Hello. Just kind of wondering what you got under them sheets there.
Hey, Kurt, you gonna get him or not, man?
I tell you what, I just want one little piece.
What's your problem?
Matt shoved him back and pulled the curtain closed to keep the others out. Matt began to dress, but Pete rammed into him. One of the others insulted Natalie, and she slapped him. Pete then pulled at her clothes, and Matt turned his anger on him again. The rest of the guards piled onto Matt, holding Natalie back when she tried to intervene. A bottle struck Matt's head, knocking him unconscious. Natalie awoke to find Pete assaulting her while the others waited for their chances. Matt regained consciousness and tried to fight them off, giving Natalie a chance to slip free. At the door, she looked back and saw Matt surrounded. She heard the sound of choking behind her as she fled into the night. Back in the present, Jane continues knocking at the trailer door. When she tries the handle, it is locked. Curtis, the head guard, pretends not to know anything while Corey finally reaches Ben on the radio. Ben shouts for Jane to step back, but before she can react, a shotgun blast rips through the door and throws her into the snow. The ambush begins. Guards open fire on the officers. Jane manages to shoot one of them in the legs and kills him before he can finish her off. Another man inside unleashes a machine gun, and Jane watches helplessly as Ben is gunned down. Curtis survives the first exchange and wrestles Jane's weapon away before she can use it. He is about to shoot her when a distant rifle shot drops him instantly. Jane scrambles for cover as the unseen marksman eliminates two more guards outside. That leaves only the men inside the trailer. One is shot before he can act, leaving Pete as the last man standing. Pete slips out through a window and runs. Jane fires at him from beneath the trailer, but he manages to escape into the snow. Moments later, Corey arrives and rushes to Jane's side. He helps her inside the trailer. He eases her onto the couch and checks her wound, but Jane insists he hand her the radio so she can call for a helicopter if she wants to survive the day. Corey tells her quietly that he cannot bring Pete back alive. He needs Pete to understand what he did, and he will not follow protocol. Jane already knows what he means, and though she is badly hurt, she gives him permission to do what he feels he must. Out in the forest, Pete stumbles through the snow, exhausted and half-dazed, clutching his pistol as he swings it wildly at shadows. He does not notice Corey, hidden in camouflage, until it is too late. Corey knocks him down and drags him away. When Pete regains consciousness, he is bound and bloodied, stuffed into a bag. Corey tells him they are on the highest mountain in Wyoming. Pete begs to talk, and Corey calmly sits nearby, giving him the chance. Pete shifts into a sitting position and suddenly realizes his boots are gone. Panic sets in as he stares at his frostbitten bare feet. Corey tells him he is worrying about the wrong thing because his time is already running out. Pete rambles about how the endless snow, lack of women, and the slow life wore him down, but Corey remains steady, reminding him that he is not here as the law, only as a listener. Pressed to speak, Pete finally confesses to what he did, the assault, the killing, and the choices that destroyed Natalie's life. Corey then cuts him loose. He tells Pete that if he can make it to the highway, he will be free. That was the same chance Natalie had. She ran 6 miles barefoot, and now it is his turn. Pete does not understand until Corey fires a warning shot past his head. Terrified, he bolts into the snow. The terrain works against him. He claws through drifts, stumbles over slopes, and drops to all fours as the cold tears at his lungs. Corey watches from a distance as Pete gasps for air, his body giving out. At last, Pete collapses onto his back, struggling for breath until he goes still. Corey never has to fire again. Corey visits Jane in the hospital. She is still in pain, but it is clear she will recover. He makes a small joke that draws a laugh from her, even though it hurts to smile. Their conversation softens, and Jane wonders aloud what kept her alive. Corey tells her she is tougher than she realizes, and that it was her own will to survive in the brutal cold that carried her through. He assures her that soon she will be strong enough to go home. He stays by her side, flipping through a magazine to lighten the mood, but Jane cannot stop thinking about Natalie, who had run 6 miles through the snow before collapsing. Later, Corey drives to Martin's house. He calls out as he enters, but no one answers. Inside, Martin's wife has fallen asleep in their daughter's room, surrounded by Natalie's belongings that now feel like scattered fragments of memory. On the desk, Corey notices photographs of Natalie and Emily together, one from their high school graduation. The sight overwhelms him with emotion. Through the window, he sees Martin sitting outside, staring into the endless white. Corey joins him and notices his face painted. When he asks about it, Martin explains that it is his death face, something he invented because no one remained to show him what dying should look like. He admits that he was ready to give up until Chip called. His son is waiting at the station, asking for his father to come get him. It is the first time he has reached out in more than a year. Martin has heard the news but still believes Pete is missing. Corey quietly assures him that Pete is gone, and that his end was small and pitiful. He urges Martin to be gentle with Chip, reminding him that the boy is suffering too. Martin nods. Corey stays with him, sharing the stillness as the snow stretches endlessly around them. The film ends with a stark reminder. A title card explains that, although missing person statistics are tracked for every other group in the country, there are no official records kept for Native American women. Well, that's the end of this story. How did you like this recap? Let me know in the comments below.